Welcome to Motherhood and the Messy Middle, where grade school meets grown kids, hot flashes meets holy fire, and no topic is too messy for this village. I'm Robin.
I'm Nicole, and we're two moms who slid into each other's DMs, built a deep friendship without ever meeting in person, and now we're creating a virtual village where we're inviting you in. This is season 2, and we're continuing our mission of normalizing the messy middle through real, connecting conversations between two friends who are living it right alongside you.
We'll be experimenting this season with themed mini-series on topics like estrangement, difficult conversations, holidays, and personal growth, always with honesty, hope, and maybe even a little laughter. Because we know that motherhood and midlife, it can stretch you spiritually, emotionally, hormonally, sometimes all before breakfast.
So whether you're raising littles, navigating midlife, or just tired of pretending that you're fine, this space is for you. So let's dive in.
Oh my gosh. Hello.
How are you?
Well, I'm a little unhinged, as I already mentioned, just buzzing with all of the doing and the energy and literal caffeine and seeing a great friend and then being able to be with you right now.
I love a good unhinged. I feel like those are the best times.
They sure are. They can be.
Right? How was your time with a friend? Isn't it amazing how rejuvenating just that hour or half an hour or whatever when you have coffee with a friend?
Yeah. And it's
Right?
also stunning because we were like, oh my gosh, we haven't been together since April. Our daughters were Girl Scouts together and her daughter has transitioned out of Girl Scouts. And so we're not seeing each other. And it just was it's just stunning how time is. I was like, oh yeah, your oldest is a sophomore in college. She's like, no, she's a junior. And I'm like, what?
Right. Where does time go? Yeah, exactly. That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's so good.
It is so good. It is so good. And we need that rejuvenation in all of the different spaces and ways and all of it. And I'm feeling just really rejuvenated about our focus for motherhood and the messy middle and stepping into this series on estrangement and really, it's weird for me to say that I'm excited about it because it's not I'm not like, oh, yay, there are women going through this and you're my friend, Nicole, and you're going through this and yay, I'm excited for you. It's just this same energy of really feeling aligned with what God has put in my heart around learning and being open and holding spaces and creating connections. And I'm just in awe of what you're doing in that world. And so we're going to be doing a series on estrangement and we're going to do 3 episodes. So if you're ready, let's just start.
Yeah, I think you started off on a good spot because I feel like I needed to give when we were getting ready to start, because I feel like I'm in such a different season of estrangement that it does feel lighter. It's still a very heavy, sad, emotional, all the things, but it's different. I feel like I'm in a different season of grief with it, and so it feels much lighter than the last time we talked about estrangement. And we just did. So I am part of walking through this road of estrangement. I created this community off social media because social media can be so painful with its memories. The memories are fantastic sometimes that Facebook reminds you, but also when you're walking through a time when you're not talking to your child, if Facebook can really suck because number one, you're seeing the memories. There's no control of what's popping up, and then you're seeing everyone else's curated picture perfect families, which is fantastic and no judgment on them, but also a reminder that that's not what my family looks like right now. And so being able to connect with women outside of a Facebook group on this community app, I think has been a really cool experience. And I say all of that to say that we had our first Zoom meetup, I guess, this last weekend. And it was really kind of neat to see. There was just a few of us that came, but there was 2 of us that were in similar seasons of the grief, and then another set that were in similar seasons of grief. And I thought that was really beautiful to just be able to make that connection of that we're all there's this umbrella that includes us all, but there's different seasons of it, and there's no right or wrong. It's just it looks different at different times. And so I feel much lighter about talking about this today. So you saying like you're excited, like I'm excited to talk about it too, because I'm excited to talk about a different perspective. I feel like the last time we talked about it was so heavy. I'm ready. Like let's talk about it like in a casual, like this is life, this is what's happening. I don't know, kind of way, I guess.
Well, because that's the reality. And like motherhood in the messy middle is holding space for all of it, right? And
Right.
like something might spark something in you and you shift into a heavier feeling and processing through those.
Sure.
I also just find so much value in really naming how toxic social media can be, even
Oh
with the
my
best
gosh.
intentions of being in
Yeah.
a private, closed community, opening the app on Facebook. And I also have been doing a lot of introspection around the layers between different platforms of how
Mm.
they feel for me. And for both you
Mm-hmm.
and I, social media is a marketing strategy for
Right.
us. And I
Right.
yet have to honor my own gateways around it. And Facebook is the most beneficial for groups
Right.
and for how that is, but it
Sure.
is the most detrimental personally for my mental health
Mm-hmm.
because those are people that the majority of them, other than, you, I've met in physical community, right?
Right.
And yeah, so it just makes it so much more complex when there's different things that emerge. And as we know, the algorithms are trained to catch our attention, and
Right.
the amount of like fear and just really trying to attack people's pain points. It's just to grab
Right.
attention. That's
Right.
hard. And when you're already coming in so tender, I'm just
Right.
really, really proud of you for being so intentional in creating a space and investing
Mm.
your financial resources to create and maintain that space that's off of social media for women who are
Right.
walking through estrangement. So, I want to make sure that in the show notes we will have a link so that people can learn more about it,
Yeah.
about the Between Hope and Heartbreak community. Can you remind me though of the ridiculously affordable cost that you
Yeah,
have
I'm
that
only
fee at?
charging $3.99 because I don't
Hold
want
on,
it to
that's $3
right, yeah,
and
$3.99.
99 cents.
Because I don't want it to be unaffordable for someone. I want it to I mean, honestly the prices of coffee nowadays, like it's less than a cup of coffee at a gas station because I want it to be affordable because I'm not trying to make money off of I have to pay for the app, so I'm just trying to break even on the app. And even if I didn't, I feel the Lord called me to it, I would do it regardless. But I also I'm trying to keep it affordable for people to be able to access it because I do like it's growing still. The last time we talked about this, there was like 10 of us and we just hit the 50 member mark, so it's growing. And
Woo!
like I
Yay!
said, we had our first like Zoom meetup and we're reading a book together. So we had a book call the other night too. And so it's evolving and growing. And it was really cool when the women connected with our group call because they exchanged phone numbers.
Oh my
And I think
gosh.
that like it just made my heart so happy that like,
Yeah.
the Lord's called me to talk about this and to see other women get to connect and outside of any social media or any apps or anything. Like that's where the beauty is because that's really what I want. And that's so much of what we talk about too here. Of like when you feel seen, it's such a powerful thing. Like it empowers you to feel like, I mean, number one, I'm not crazy. Like just simply putting it,
You're a
I'm not
little
crazy.
crazy.
Well, I mean, yes. But just like affirming that like you're not on an island.
Yeah.
And so much with estrangement, you do feel
Yeah.
like you're a little cuckoo and
Yeah.
like you're all alone because there's these layers of shame that come with estrangement.
Right.
That talking to and I think that probably can go for anything, but when you're talking to somebody who doesn't understand their questions, while there's no ill intent, they don't always land and it's hard. It's just so much easier to just play it off like everything's fine and cool when someone says like, "Hey, how's your kid?" "Oh, they're fine." I don't really know if they're fine, but I don't want to get into the weeds of it. And so you just don't talk about it to people. And there's so much, again, it's like well intended, but the conversation around it is like, well, have you tried reaching out? I would just keep reaching out. Or have you tried apologizing? And while there's no ill intent, it is very like, oh, of course I have. Like, I'm not just sitting here being like, yeah, bye, see you later. Don't want to talk to you either.
Well, and
So,
for someone like me who really, I mean, I'm going to be really vulnerable and honest. I did not understand what that word meant,
mm-hmm,
estrangement. And when you and I first were, really creating our relationship and learning about each other, you started using the word, prodigal, and that was new to my vocabulary as well. And so it's really been, deepening for me to learn about these things. And I have so much empathy for how uncomfortable it is for you walking through that and being dealt with those scenarios. And I just want to name that it's uncomfortable for me as well, because I don't know. And it's just like you said, we have no ill intent. And yet one of the bigger problems in our society is that we don't know how to sit in discomfort without trying to fix or numb or just shortcut things, right? And we've been conditioned that way. And there's a lot of benefit to the fast pace of our society to access like the globalization piece. But when it comes to these deep things that are so complex, so complex, I even think there's a couple connections I want to make here. One is what I started with, just, me being unhinged and coming from this beautiful coffee connection. I was really vulnerable in sharing some pieces that this friend didn't know about my story. And that's what happens when you're in a relationship, right? And it evolves. And then my relation to that story and how it's come has evolved. And it's hard even for me sometimes to keep up with in real time, like where my grief or my whatever is, right? And I can imagine it's just like that for estrangement. And that by learning about this and being able to talk about it here in this series on our podcast, it's helping to really help people feel seen, not only that are walking through estrangement, but that are women like me who aren't and are just empathic and wanting to show up as the best version of friends, soul sisters, community members. So, Nicole, I'm going to ask you if you could define both estrangement and then also your use of the word prodigal, and not only what they mean, but how you've shifted in using those words, like how it's evolved.
Okay, first I want to just touch on something that I said before, because I know we'll end this podcast and be like, I wish I would have said. Because when I'm talking about how people say things that then like are uncomfortable for us, so we shut down, I don't want that to mean that I don't want to shut down conversations, because I think there's so much shame around we don't know what to say, so we don't say anything at all. And so there's both sides to the coin, where there's sometimes it feels like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. And I don't want people to feel like what I said comes across that way, because sometimes it is better to ask and get it wrong and miss the mark, because that's also how we learn. Because not talking about things doesn't help us, just like with your friend, like not connecting, not talking doesn't help anybody learn or grow or like understand how to connect better and all of the things. So I just want to like say that for my own, so I can feel like I like was clear on that. But it's just like how we protect ourselves a little bit more, as what I was trying to say, than how I feel about someone asking me. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Okay.
I mean, I'm over here going, because that is your wanting to explain that. I don't need that. Like, I know where your heart is, and I know, but it is this challenge for us because, we don't script what we're going to say. We are really intentional about having this conversation style around a theme to help women feel seen. And it's, for me, it's my neurodivergence is always trying to frame like, who am I talking to? And making sure that there is that understanding, because like a word is just a placeholder for us to be able to connect and share experiences and things. And there's so many nuances to it, and so many assumptions that people make. But I want you to know that your heart is very, very clear to me, and that you show up. I see you as nothing but aligned, and you have very just a really strong sense of who you are and the things that you bring to relationships, as well as that you want to, get out of them. And it's not in a way of energy vampire or sucking. It is in true connection.
Mm-hmm.
And that I also want to honor, it's super messy. That's what you want to name our podcast,
Just embracing the messiness. Okay, so back to what you were saying, estrangement and like prodigal. So I guess I didn't always know what those words meant either. But so the over estrangement, there can be different layers of estrangement, and it can be a full disconnect where there's no contact from in this instance, a family member, a child. And then there can be like layered. There could be a strained or a distant relationship where it's there's reduced contact or communication. There's also other things that people bring up a lot of parent alienation. Parent alienation would be where, you know, I think typically what I don't know the Webster definition, but like what I typically see is after a divorce or a separation, one parent convinces the child or views the child or brings the child over to their side. And so there's alienation for the other parent. So that's, equal. I mean, it's all sad and it's all messy and it's just different names for different scenarios. Ultimately, I feel like they all essentially mean the same as there's reduced or no contact with our child. So you can call it, there's different names for different scenarios, but essentially it means that there is a cutoff of communication and contact with a child. Prodigal is a reference that we see in the Bible, and it's about someone who's far from home or far from God or far in those situations is how I interpret prodigal. And so there's the story of the prodigal son in the Bible where he goes off and he goes his own way. He spends his money his own way. He asks for his inheritance early. He spends it. He squanders it. And then he returns home to his father, which is, is a really beautiful story of how the father greets the son with so much love and excitement and throws a party. And like, he's not greeting him with shame, even though he spent all of his money and he went on his wayward way. And so I refer to a prodigal because I say that I was a prodigal. So I was born and raised Christian, parents are married. And then I went my own way. I went and I walked far from God. I walked away. I looked at different religions. I moved out with my boyfriend. I, did all of these things that were further from the Lord and the traditions of my family. And, but then the Lord captured my heart and reignited this fire, which when our kids are prodigals, it's scary and it's terrifying when they're like making these choices. You're like, these are terrifying choices and this is not going to serve you. And I agree with that, but I also can see the beauty in how God will still reach you and like it becomes your testimony and God makes good of all these things that our kids go through because I've seen that in my own life. So those are,
and because you have faith. Like belief
Right.
is when you know that something has happened, but faith is deeper, right? And because of your relationship with God and being able to see the connections in all of the different stories and patterns and your experiences, that you have faith that it will be like that.
It's even using the faith. So I think like as Christians, we talk about having faith, but until we use our faith muscle and we like intentional with leaving space for faith, it still is really easy to like try to grasp onto the control of it instead of like trusting and releasing that we do like walking that faith out. So, I see that a lot because especially as parents, as moms, like our kids are making these choices. They're not talking to us. They've cut us off for whatever reason. And we want to be able to control the narrative. We want to be able to control and bring them back. Because it's a tangible thing. We want to be able to do that. And in these cases, we really can't. And so I think why my platform is a little different in talking about estrangement than what I see a lot of. Well, it's number one that I'm not a psychologist or a counselor, and a lot of people who are talking about estrangement are.
And it feels more clinical coming from them. Like yours is truly the dance of life and of the heart.
Right. I'm just a mom, and I think the beauty.
Whoa.
Well, I don't mean like just a mom. I mean like,
yeah, I know.
But I'm the mom reaching back. I'm the mom
Yes.
saying like, hey, I've been through this trenches too. Like, but because I'm in this different season of grief, I'm saying, hey, I'm reaching back. Here's what I've learned. Here's what's helped me. Maybe it'll help you. Maybe it won't. Maybe I won't be the right fit to bring you some hope. But if I am, hey, here's this hope. And I think the other thing that makes me a little different is that I'm bringing Jesus into it. And I think a lot of times when we see people talking just solely about estrangement, it's like you said, it's very clinical. And I don't have all the answers. I mean, no one should claim that they do, but I definitely don't. But the Lord has used this experience to bring me closer to Him. And my hope in talking to moms with estrangement is to bring them hope through Jesus. Like, you can't control what your kid does. You can't control if they want to have a relationship with you, but you can control how you respond. You can control what you do in the waiting and how you seek the Lord in the waiting and what the Lord's going to do in your life while you're waiting and how we're going to respond in faith and say, God, here I am, broken, empty, a shell of a person because the only thing that I know is that how to be a mom. And now I don't know how, I can't be that anymore. So what do you have for me now? And God will make good from everything if we allow Him the space to do that. So in my excitement in talking about estrangement is my excitement in that God is, if we allow Him to, He can do something really cool in this season. In this pain, He can meet us in such unique, tangible, thrilling ways that are so personal and feel so humbling because the God of the freaking universe like cares about me and this relationship in every little tiny detail. He sees me and He'll meet me in it if I allow Him to. And when we need God, He shows up in those ways if we allow Him to. And so this is the season where we can do that. Yeah. So that's why I get excited about talking about estrangement because it's easier to be that intimate with the Lord when we're in the trenches.
Well, and what is really coming full circle for me is I'm excited about being able to talk about it too, not for the actual experience and the pain, but for bringing to light what this topic is. And in the way that my brain is directly connected with my heart, and I've had to be, this is just who I am. And there's reasons why I'm like this, but I see the connections. And so if we take out even the word estrangement, the different layers that you were saying, and really it's the disconnection and then grief. And I feel that on a visceral level. And we all do, because it's these human experiences are not unique. They're unique for us, but they're not, they are shared. They're part of what we're going through. And, what I really appreciate is being able to define estrangement in these layers, in normalizing it, bringing it to the conversation. Hopefully through this first episode of this conversation, we're really shining a light to then diminish the shame, because it's not about, even for me as a recovering addict and somebody who's always working on recovering my mental health, I deal with mental illness. There's so much stigma, and there's stigma around estrangement. And as a person who works, with women to release weight and reclaim their energy, that's not just physical weight, it's also the weight of shame and the weight of not just shame that others might throw on you, but we are meant to judge. This is going to seem counter from what I normally say, but it's the truth. Humans, we are meant to judge. That's what our brain is doing to help assess like safety and security and create, all of these pieces. The extra layer of being conscious and connected to God and the truth of what is noticing those judgments and then releasing them. And that's where all of my work around mindfulness comes in. It's like clearing, releasing that weight, releasing the judgment, the myths, the shame around estrangement, so that you can truly get to God and then unfold
the healing,
what comes. Yes, the healing.
Yeah.
So I think this is a really great place to just
wrap up. I agree.
And say thank you for bringing
I'm like,
the
wrap
light
up,
to
and
this.
you're like, let's say thank you. I'm like, okay, let's get out of this conversation.
We're sitting in some discomfort.
We're sitting
now.
in discomfort,
yes, my friend.
Yes.
And you're doing an amazing job of that. And sometimes we, sit in the estrangement and have to laugh our way through it, cry our way through it both at the
Yes.
same time. We never know.
Yes.
We never
Right.
know.
Right.
But I'm really looking forward to, it sounds so weird. I'm looking forward to talking more about this and exploring grief.
I mean, but hey, I feel like these are the uncomfortable conversations, and everyone is experiencing grief in all different. It's coming out in different ways. Like, and I think that there's different, and as in everything, there's different levels to the grief. Like, you're no stranger to grief, and processing through it, and I do think it is powerful to say that estrangement, there's a level of grief, because I think
absolutely
that it's easy to say, to shrug it aside and not give it and honor those feelings. So
yeah. Well, let's honor the full expression of those feelings as we go into next week's episode. And until then, no matter what season that you are walking in, just know that you're seen, you're valued, you're here. We are part of your virtual village. And thank you.
bye, guys.
Hey, before you go, this podcast is made possible by our soul-led solopreneur businesses. NicoleCoates.com, where Nicole's helping moms navigate the pain of distance or estrangement, and Robin's Wellnest, where soul meets science meets systems to live, lead, and learn well. Support us there because it supports the conversations that we're having here. And if you love this episode, please subscribe, share it with a friend, and leave a review because that also helps our village grow. Now, we also have the Vault for you. You download the Vault, which is our growing library of resources, reflection tools, and extras in the show notes, as well as at motherhoodinthemessymiddle.com. Until next time, remember, you're never alone in the messy middle.